Hey, how's it going, everybody? Before I show you guys this heavy friggin' player, I've got 3 more remotes to show. And all these I picked up for cheap at thrift stores. The first 2 were about 50 cents a piece at my old Goodwill, where you went through the bins full of stuff. And then the other one, I think I paid $1 for at a different thrift store. Anyways, found out something with these Pioneer remotes for Laserdisc players or just outright Pioneer audio video equipment. And I'm going to say 90s. I don't know how far of a range it goes, but these damn things are universal. Anyways, this is the first one that I found at my old Goodwill. Anyways, not including the one that's sitting on the chair here, but my other Pioneer players that are all from the 90s. I'm going to say early 90s, I think, on all of them. One that's this works best on is this one will flip the laser if you have one that does both sides. Anyways, mine is a CLD/D502. Works beautifully on that one. And then my other 2 single disc players are CLD 990 and 980. And those does all the basic functions. One of them, it won't power on because you have to do the clicky button. That's the way this one is. It's just got that clicky on off switch, so you have to have it turned on and then you can use the remote. So anyways, this remote CDV LD player remote control unit model CU/CLD084. This is the smallest one that I have. This one's outright for a Laserdisc player. Now this one, and also the next one I'm going to show, are for stereo receivers or whatever, where it was set up to where you can have all your audio and video equipment stacked, including the TV, and be able to control everything with one remote. So basically, early universal remote. Anyways, this one literally has a switch on it, just below the little power light. It turns red that just says audio, video, depending on what you want to power up or just use this thing on. On stuff this will work on, it does your VCR, tape cassette player, CD or Laserdisc, TV, and then the receiver that this was made for. This one, it says audio, video, stereo receiver, remote control unit, CU/VSX026. And big friggin' difference on size as it does more stuff. Anyways, I think this was the only one that I can get the laser to flip with. I don't think this and the next one do that. So anyways, good size. Just a comparison. This one I believe I paid $1 for. A little bit nicer to look at. So it's got the light up buttons for whatever you're using it on. Anyways, this one is audio video programmable remote control unit, model CU/VSX048. Just long and skinny, another big one. And then it's got this trigger type thing to the left side. So when you press that, it will light up the last thing that you were trying it on. Which now it's showing deck 2, so if I hit Laserdisc, it will flash that I was using the Laserdisc. Otherwise, it does VCR1, VCR2, Laserdisc, TV, CD, tuner, tape deck 1, tape deck 2, and then the bottom one just says DAT for like data or whatever. And say, man, I don't think either of these big ones will do the flip thing if you have one of those type of players to flip the laser. Otherwise, a little bit longer. These would be hard to lose. Alright, and then the player that I got. It's one of those things, man, if you find a remote and you live close to the Goodwill or whatever, definitely make a second trip if you just find the remote, because that was how I lucked out. I got the remote on the first trip for $1, and then went back the next day. Boom, there was the Laserdisc player. So I got really lucky. They just hadn't set everything out. Probably thought, somebody could have thought that they didn't have the player for it, which that happens a lot. So, first player that I have found the original remote with on a Laserdisc system other than my Yamaha. So I'll show you the remote for it first. This one, not really long, but really freaking fat and chunky, man. And also, this one, the keypad is all membrane. It doesn't have the raised keys like these do. So, kind of cool. Anyways, on functions, this got me confused until I downloaded the owner's manual for the thing, the 130 plus page owner's manual for the thing, for the player. It shows times have changed, man. It literally had technical type specs and shit in it. Which that's the same thing with my 1980 or 81 top loader. It gives technical specs. Which you don't see that anymore on a lot of stuff when it comes to the owner's manuals. Anyways, what I thought was an eject button, it isn't. It's reject. But it has the same symbol as eject. And it's framed in red, but what that does is spin down the disc. So it stops that from spinning, so you wait for the disc to spin down, and then you manually hit the eject button on the player. Otherwise, it's got pause, play, repeat mode, display, audio, clear. Some of these, I think it depends on the Laserdisc. They didn't all work on the one that I had in it, which was my practically, well, it is brand new. I had one that was sealed and then one that was already opened of Bloodsport with Van Damme. Played it beautifully, but it wouldn't let me skip chapters or fast forward or anything on it. So sometimes that depends on the disc on what it'll let you do. Otherwise, it's got still step with rewind, fast forward, and then scan, speed, and multi. And then your number keypad if you know what chapter you're looking for. And then I guess that you just press in what chapter you want and then hit search, I guess. And then it's got a button that just says chapter / frame / track / time, which just changes the time display. Otherwise, really good condition on the remote. And this player, it was funny when I saw it, looking at it, it's like, oh, right on, man, that's got to be the player. And then it's got these stamps on it on top and on the sides, and from a distance it's like, did that thing come from a military base? Because it's that kind of lettering and it's big. Anyways, it's stamped on top and on the sides NAUMS3, as in Northern Arizona University. So that's where it came from. So I got this puppy plugged in so I can show you how thick the friggin' tray is. This is an industrial player, hence the chunky friggin' remote and everything. Now, this thing is just, it's a beast on the weight. It's made to where I guess you can stack other stuff on top of it, receiver, whatever. When I opened it up, all the metal in it seemed a little bit thicker, just more rugged on the build. And, I'll point it out to you guys. There's also a little hatch on top of it where you just remove 2 screws and it just flips off and out. That is so you can get at the laser. And according to the instruction manual, and I haven't looked for it, I guess there's dip switches in it somewhere to where you can set it for this, that, or the other. So until I find those, I can't say much on it other than that I guess it's got them somewhere. Really friggin' heavy. This is definitely one of my heaviest players. I took my Sony one out just to wipe it down as it was dusty as all hell. Even then I keep it inside of a cabinet, and I'd swear that thing is half the weight this is. And I don't have anything to weigh it on. So can't really say, but it is definitely heavy. Anyways, let's see. Back of it, I'm going to try and show this to you guys because I've never seen these type of hookups on anything other than like audio equipment for like DJs or whatever, or studio equipment. And one of them where it has to do with the video out is it does have composite video out, and then it had one of these type that has this type of hookup where you put it on, push down on it, and then give it a twist and it locks in place. Anyways, I'm guessing both of those put out composite video. It's just one of them has this type of hookup depending on your equipment, as this was already on there. I just took it off because it sticks out and I don't want to snap the thing off accidentally. Otherwise, composite video, and then your audio for left and right is right here. And hard to figure out in the instructions on how you do it. I'd have to see somebody giving a demo of this in a video on what all it does. But it was set up to hook up to an old school computer with, like, I guess Windows 3.1 up to maybe 95 or Windows 98, to where you could control this with the computer. To where if it was in a classroom, the teacher could have whatever software on the computer for the program, for educational or whatever, and it would skip chapters on this, or she could just do the simple programs, play, stop, fast forward, rewind, whatever. It's kind of cool, man. Or I guess if you were in a business or whatever and you had a presentation or whatever you wanted to do that was on Laserdisc, you can control it with the computer, let alone the remote. And on the date, this one was manufactured September 1992. I think for this type, this might be the first model. I'd swear I saw this thing dated up to like 96 or 97, to where they made this particular one for a while for schools and stuff and just didn't change all that much. I'd have to get on eBay again. And on the value, man, these things with the remote, all of them seem to start in 100 and up or whatever, unless you just get really lucky and find one for cheap, which a lot of them that I found below 100, they were selling them as for parts or whatever, or repair. So, let's see. Found out something on this too, as I was doing this video and then I hit something wrong and turned off my program here, so I'm starting over, but I didn't have it level when I had the tray go in and out, and it was making this weird kind of hum type noise. And then once I got it flat on my legs, it went away, like shut down, like it wouldn't shut down, like there's some kind of a leveling thing in here if it gets off kilter or whatever for your disc. I'm just guessing on that. Otherwise, I'll try and get it level here. Let's see, I'm leaning back in the damn chair. Hopefully this won't make me fall on my frickin' ass. Okay. Anyways, there is the front of it. There's all your basic functions. That right there is like a headphone jack. I will tell you about that once I set this thing down again. It had another type of controller that did oddball stuff. Otherwise, no display anywhere on this. And the reason I want to show it ejecting, the tray on this is extra thick, man. It's thicker than all of them that I have on my other players. Just really heavy duty. Anyways, it's got LD ROM, busy, park, which is basically stop from spinning when you hit the reject button, play and then search. That's the little red lights, and then you got your open, close, and stop button, play button, still, step buttons, another little red LED that just says key lock. I don't know what the hell that's for. Then a couple buttons for scan, and then one that says LD ROM on off, and then a button to display, which basically just gives the chapter and time or whatever. And then it does have a little light for the power. Otherwise, it just says below the tray, just Pioneer Laserdisc Player LD / V4400. And then, now I'll give this away. On the other little remote that they obviously didn't have, I kept going back seeing if maybe it would turn up, and it didn't. Could be the person didn't buy it. It's laser barcode, to where it was an extra little thing that plugged into the remote that read barcodes. Or you can plug it directly into this if you're sitting next to it like a teacher or whatever, or you're using this for presentation, and it would read barcodes. All I can guess, like for presentation, maybe if you had presentation Laserdisc software or whatever, and you had a book that came with it, you could scan the chapter and it would find that on the disc. Just probably simple stuff. And then also, the one that I saw mostly with this, thing I can compare it to is for anybody technical out there that works on stuff. You remember those cold soldering irons they advertised on TV, where it just took a couple batteries and it wouldn't burn you, but once it touched metal, as in the solder or whatever, it would heat up. Anyways, about the same size as one of those, and then it had just the basic functions like stop, play, rewind, fast forward on the side of it. Anyways, when I looked at the book, I noticed there was another one that looks more like a newer type barcode scanner that you'd see like nowadays, more like a regular old remote. Just it was a weird tip to it that kind of curves down to where I guess you could use it as the regular remote and a barcode scanner. Don't know, but I only saw that in the book for this, as I downloaded the manual in PDF. So, power button's right there. Say it's the clicky type, so turn it on. And this thing ejects pretty damn slow. Like I say, the tray is just insane thick. See what I mean, man? Really thick tray. I mean, this thing is just plain rugged. Let's see if that'll stop. Yeah, that's that noise it was making. Okay. Makes that noise when it's searching for the disc or spinning or whatever, and then once it realizes there's nothing in it, it just shuts itself off. Otherwise, this was the most expensive thing I got from my Goodwill, as it was $39.99, so I rounded it off to $40. So an even $40, which you get online to find one of these with the remote. Pretty much any Pioneer that's in good shape and plays great, man, you're looking at a lot more than $40 unless you just get really friggin' lucky. I mean, they're definitely worth picking up if you have a hoarder room like mine or a side room where you can store the things. This is player 7 for me. In fact, I've got 2 on the shelf there, one of my Pioneers and then the Yamaha. And then in my cabinet below my TV that you can't see, my flat screen, I've got my Sony. And then out in my other room, got a couple more. On the side room, my 80s top loader, and then another one of the front loading ones. And then for my TV in here, in the living room or whatever, I've got my dual sides. So they do turn up. It's one of those things, I've been finding them more at like Goodwill and stuff than any place, but they do turn up at other thrift stores on ones that will take in electronics. That seems to be my problem around here. Not too many of my thrift stores will take in big electronics like this. They just don't have the room. So if you're in a city where you got some good-sized thrift stores, that's where to look. I mean, they can still be found for pretty cheap. Unless you get one like friggin' Goodwill to where they are looking them up. This, I think they just... whatever. I don't know how they came up with the price. That's the problem with my new Goodwill. they can't name their own prices, as in the people that work there. It's a freaking chart that they have now that's sent to them from corporate or whatever, to where here's your price range, and the price range is friggin' crazy. Like my last vid, the games, I got used to $2 at most for a game. That was the last price they had at the old Goodwill, where you went through the bins, and that was for any game. Old school cartridge game up to PS3, whatever. Any game was $2. Now it's like every freaking game has its own price. It's crazy. And a lot of times they're pretty trashed. A lot of the stuff that I've seen there is trashed, and they still want a high price. So I consider myself lucky that I found that. I don't think anybody else wanted to lift the goddamn thing and take it out of the store, let alone know what it is and buy it. That is one thing around here. I don't think there's too many people in my town that collect for stuff like that. But there are game collectors, so video games, I consider myself lucky anytime I find any of them anymore. Got a lot of gamers in this town now that collect old school. So, the pain is coming back thanks to chunky asses sitting there in my freaking chair. So I'm going to say bye to you guys and take another freaking pain pill. Have a good one, everybody, and I'll have another vid up maybe tomorrow, whatever, as I still got more stuff to show you guys. I got to break it down into small vids. So have a good one, everybody.